What's up, guys? We're getting ready to start a Robot Master Weapons only run of Mega Man 3 for the NES. The rules are quite simple. I'm never allowed to use the Mega Buster except on the very first Robot Master that I fight. I can't use the Mega Buster at all throughout that Robot Master's level, just on the Robot Master himself. As soon as you obtain your first weapon, you're never, ever, under any circumstances allowed to use the Mega Buster ever again. I'm also not allowed to use Rush at all, as this is a Robot Master Weapons only run. You will be forced to use Rush here and there, but if there's any possible way to get through an area without Rush, do it. You're not allowed to use Rush whatsoever. This will also be a glitchless run, so no super jump or falling into holes to pass through areas or slowing anything down or anything like that, using the Player 2 controller, of course. Just going to be straight 100% legit run. We are going to be starting off with Needle Man, mostly because he's our only choice, but he isn't a bad choice either. But the fact is that he is our only choice for the first Robot Master. Snake Man's level has the Big Snakey mini-boss, which forces Buster use. Top Man's level has Tama the Cat mini-boss, which forces Buster use. Shadow Man, Magnet Man, and Hard Man all have battles against Proto Man, which force Buster use. Gemini Man stage has the pole eggs that only the Mega Buster and the Needle Cannon can destroy, and not having Needle Cannon obviously means Force Buster use. And Spark Man stage, while it is possible to completely go through his stage, once you get the Spark Shock you can't hurt any bosses with it, and you also can't hurt Needle Man with it, therefore making Spark Man also a forbidden Robot Master. The hit detection was a little bit weird on that Met back there. I mean, I would have got hit anyway because I timed that jump a little weird, but it looked like I took damage before I actually touched him. Kinda weird. Even though Needle Man's our forced first Robot Master, like I said, he still isn't that bad of a choice because he gives you a pretty good weapon, at least for a Buster replacement anyway. It's really not that different from the Mega Buster, except for its shots arc up and down, so it can hit enemies below the Mega Buster's firing range, and it has a rapid fire type function, where if you hold the button it just keeps on firing, so that's pretty useful. So yeah, overall the Needle Cannon makes a pretty good Buster replacement. We're just about to Needle Man himself, just right over here, and through this other gate, and here we are at Needle Man. Start off the battle by getting all up in his face. Needle Man always looked kinda chubby to me. Just something about him always looked really chubby. It's like he has chubby cheeks. I don't really think that there's a way to exploit his AI or anything, but so long as you know how to dodge the Needle Cannon and the Needle Crown, then he's really not that tough. I think that the closer you are to Needle Man, the higher the chances that he's going to use the Needle Crown, though. I could be wrong about that, but it just seems that way to me. With that said and done, Needle Man is now down and out, and we are now getting the Needle Cannon. No more Buster use from here. We also get the Rush Jet with the Needle Cannon, but of course we won't be using that unless it's forced, which there will be probably one or two areas where we will absolutely have to use it, but I think that that's about it. We'll only use it whenever it's forced. Next up, I think we'll take out Magnet Man. He gives a pretty good weapon. And I really like his stage music, one of my favorite tunes in the entire series. His stage isn't half bad either. Go ahead and get the Needle Cannon equipped. There we go. Whenever I was younger, I used to go forward a little bit in this little area here, then I'd go back and let one of the magnets pick me up and take me to the ladder at the end of the section. And here we have our very first battle against Proto Man. There are quite a few weapons that actually work on Proto Man, but of course we only have the Needle Cannon right now. It's probably what we'll just stick to using anyway. And take out this guy, the Giant Springer, and his missile. Nice, got more weapon energy, gotta keep that up. Needle Cannon has really good weapon energy overall, but we'll want to keep it high. And drop down from here. I really like how on the little batteries that you see here and there, it looks like a little combination of Dr. Light and Dr. Wily's signatures on it, with the R and W, since Dr. Light's name in Japan is Dr. Wright. So it kind of makes sense. It's kind of interesting to see the combination of their signatures. Got some Yoku blocks here. I personally think that these are some of the easiest Yoku block sections in the entire series. especially since if you know your way through it, you can skip quite a bit of them. Like right here, just jump on this, jump up, and you're done. Over here, wait right here, up, over, and you're done. The magnets that they placed aren't really that threatening if you know how to get around on all the Yoku blocks. If you need to refill on your weapons, you got some over there, but we're doing really good, so we don't really need to go get any of that. There we go, got that out. We have one more giant Springer, and then we'll be at Magnet Man. The battle against Magnet Man really isn't that tough, but it is a pretty fun fight. One thing that's interesting about it is that if you fight Magnet Man with the Mega Buster, he'll take 2 damage per shot. Whereas if you fight him with the Needle Cannon, he takes 1 damage per shot, so the Needle Cannon actually does less damage to Magnet Man than the Mega Buster does. Kind of interesting. Wait for him to get down here. All of his attacks are really easy to dodge. Whenever he tries to pull you in, just walk and slide away. Whenever he goes up to do magnet missiles, make sure that you're a ways away from him, like a little bit across the room. Then just walk towards him. I remember reading in a magazine a while back about Mega Man 3, and they suggested that you start with Magnet Man. I don't know about that. I mean, he isn't too hard or anything, but I don't think that he'd be the best one to start with. I'd say for this particular weakness chain to start with Top Man. He doesn't really give you the best weapon, but I'd say that he's definitely the easiest one. For the other weapon set, I'd recommend starting with Snake Man, personally. That's another interesting thing about Mega Man 3 is that it has 2 weakness chains instead of 1. For defeating Magnet Man, we got the Magnet Missile, which is a pretty good weapon in my opinion. It uses up a bit of ammo. It uses 2 bars per shot, leaving you 14 Magnet Missiles to a full bar of weapon energy. So yeah, it uses up a little bit, but it's a pretty fast-moving, semi-homing missile, which overall, I'd say is probably the best to second best weapon in Mega Man 3. I think Shadow Blade helps fight for that #1 spot. Got these bolts here and there. You can't harm the bolts until they've completely came together. These weird creatures have a weird hitbox, like you seen right there. The magnet missile back there just went right through it. Never it clearly should have done damage. Oh well though. I'm gonna keep switching between Needle Cannon and Magnet Missile throughout this level. We'll give the big weapon energy down here to Magnet Missile. Don't even have to bother fighting the bolt on this screen. Whenever I was younger, I always asked myself, Top Man, why tops? Furthermore, what does this stage even have to do with tops, you know? I mean, whenever I think Top Man, I think of going to a toy factory, fighting in some sort of area like that, you know? And instead we get a bunch of these green plants encased in glass with little flashing lights in the background and cats hurling balls of yarn and shooting fleas or mice at you. Then as I got older, I spelt his name backwards. T-O-P? P-O-T? Pot Man? That explains everything. The gorillas shooting tops out of their chests, random cats, the plants inside of the glass, everything. But seriously though, I really do question this interior at times. Like I said, I would have expected like a toy factory, but instead we got this. But that's alright, I guess. I don't mind this stage. I especially like the music and everything. About the only thing that even remotely has to do with tops besides the little gorillas that shoot the tops at you are these things. They should have put more of those little spinning platforms here and there throughout the stage, but like I said, that's okay. I remember reading a while back that during the making of Mega Man 3, Keiji Inafune, the guy that makes Mega Man and everything, I heard that he tripped on a wire and lost all the data for Top Man's stage, so they had to completely redo everything. So I'm wondering if the stage maybe was originally planned to be a toy factory and they just kind of came up with this because the game was kind of rushed. For defeating Top Man, we get the Top Spin, which a lot of people consider Top Spin to be the worst weapon in Mega Man 3, let alone the entire classic series. I disagree with both of those. I don't think that it's the worst in Mega Man 3, and I definitely don't think that it's the worst in the entire classic series. In Mega Man 3, I personally think that the worst weapon is Spark Shock. because it's basically like a downgraded ice slasher. You can only paralyze enemies and you can't really switch to another weapon and kill any of them. Whereas Topspin has a pretty good handful of areas where it's useful. I think one of the things that a lot of people have beef with Topspin is the glitchy weapon energy. The way how I see it, it never really glitches out if you actually use the weapon on an enemy that it affects. If you hit an enemy with the weapon and it doesn't kill him right away, you're not going to kill the enemy with it. Like I said, it has a handful of areas where it is useful, and the only times I've ever seen the weapon energy really glitch out on an enemy that it actually affects is on certain bosses. And even then, if you're careful, it won't really glitch out on you. We got a little forced rush area here. It's kind of nice to let Rush get a little bit of screen time, but like I said earlier, this is mostly just a run for the Robot Master weapons. Here's a little area where Topspin can be helpful, taking out these monkeys even though there's only 2 of them right here. There's still one ahead, so that's alright. Badly placed enemy is bad, Capcom. Don't even have to stop. Well, I guess if you wanted the health back there, then it wouldn't be a badly placed enemy, just an enemy guarding the health. Whatever, though. Take out these guys over here, the little Mets driving bulldozers. I always liked the Mets in the classic series. All the different things that they can do, from flying around in spacesuits to riding in tiny little trains, to even impersonating 1-ups. Oh boy. I was the victim of every 1-up Met. And I played Mega Man 9 a lot with my friends, and I was always the first one to fall victim to a 1-up Met. But still, I really like that idea of them impersonating 1-ups to trick you and everything. I couldn't believe that they actually did something like that. Got another battle with Proto Man here. Even with the little change in terrain, he's still not hard whatsoever, in my opinion. And down here we go, get us a little bit of health. And almost to the boss. A lot of people make little giggly, kind of immature jokes about Hardman's name, and I can see it, you know. I'm not even going to go into what kind of jokes they're going for, because I'm sure that everybody already knows. And I've even made a joke or two about it myself, so yeah. His name actually comes from the fact that he has really powerful armor. Only 4 weapons in Mega Man 3 affect him: the Mega Buster, Gemini Laser, his weakness, the Magnet Missile, and his own weapon. I never quite understood why Gemini Laser really affects him. I mean, is there like a logical explanation for that? I never really understood that. It just seems so random. But whatever, I guess. For defeating Hardman, we get the Hard Knuckle, which is a pretty slow-moving but very powerful projectile. You can also slightly steer it up and down. Its main function, for me anyway, is fighting mini-bosses. It's really good for that, and it's also pretty good for taking out semi-powerful normal enemies, such as Hammer Joes. Here we are on Snake Man's stage now. I really like the design and the music in this stage. I really like the whole snake theme that's going on. I remember reading in a magazine a while back that Snake Man's weakness is the Hard Knuckle. That's not true at all. His weakness is the Needle Cannon. I think what the magazine was just trying to do is close in one full weakness loop instead of having 2. They wanted to close it in as 1. But the way how I see it, if they're going to try to close in one full weapon loop by picking a weapon that does 2 damage to Snake Man, they should have chose Shadow Blade, because that's from the exact same weakness loop as Hard Knuckle, and it also does 2 damage to Snake Man. It's a much more effective weapon to use if you're going to use a weapon that does 2 damage to him. Just my opinion. I remember back whenever I was younger and I'd play Mega Man 3, Snake Man was the very first one that ever really caught my eye. I just seen him and I'm just like, whoa, snakes. And for some reason, I really like that about him. He's usually the one that I try to go for first. Give Hard Knuckle a little screen time. Got 2 surprise tanks up here. I always break open the surprise tanks even though I usually don't need what's in them. I really like the whole idea of surprise tanks. I would really like to see them in like newer Mega Mans. Of course we have Eddie now, but I'd like to see surprise tanks here and there throughout some of the stages and then have Eddie be a viable item. I think that that'd be kind of cool, but I don't ever really expect the surprise tanks to return. They were a pretty neat little idea though. Here's where the stage starts to get a little different, I guess. See the clouds above me and everything. Eventually it becomes a full-on air-based level, or air-looking level. We're all up in the sky and everything. It's like, what happened to the snake theme? Why are we suddenly in the sky and everything? Plus, these little platforms over here, these cloud platforms, can be kind of glitchy. So if you ever get on them, be sure to jump as the platform gets to the top. Otherwise, you might be glitched and shoved off the side of the platform, which can be kind of annoying. These enemies aren't too hard, these missiles hidden in the clouds. I'd recommend just waiting until they're above you a pretty good ways and then shooting them so that they fly straight over you. Or if you want to, you can wait until they're lined up with you and shoot the cloud, then destroy them. Whatever the case, though, we are now at Snake Man. For this particular weakness loop, Snake Man, Gemini Man, Needle Man, that little small weakness loop, I'd recommend taking out Snake Man first. With this little pillar in the center of the room, he's pretty easy. Just because I want to, I'm going to use Top Spin on Snake Man. Does 2 damage to him. Not the best damage, but hey, I get to Top Spin a snake to death. Yeah, that pillar in the center of the room helps make Snake Man quite easy. If you just stick to being in the middle of the room, you can completely jump over him and his search snakes all in one jump. Speaking of search snakes, that's the weapon that we get from defeating Snake Man. Search Snake is a floor and wall crawling weapon. It can be kind of useful in sections where the area will go pitch dark. You can shoot a few of them and they'll go along the ground showing you the path ahead. So that's pretty neat about them. And they're pretty energy efficient, so they make a decent buster replacement for grounded enemies. Overall, not really too bad of a weapon, I don't think. I enjoy using them. Right now we are in Gemini Man stage. I always, whenever I was younger, thought of this as like the ice stage, even though it's not really ice. Just for some reason I always thought of it as an ice stage. But it's more like a little, I don't know. Out here it looks all spacey, then you enter an area where everything's all flashy, and then you eventually get to a water area. So it's kind of a mix of various things. Speaking of Gemini, that's actually my sign. I'm not really that much into horoscopes or anything, but I do at least know what my sign is. I thought that was kind of cool that a Robot Master was based on that particular sign. Not really a big deal, but still kind of cool. Got Proto Man over here, but he just kind of comes down and then leaves. You can easily just slide into this screen and then jump through his little platform there. However, it'll glitch the stage up and there won't be any music, which is why I stopped myself from doing it. Here we have these pole eggs. Only the Needle Cannon and the Mega Buster can crack them open. So, obviously with no Mega Buster, we are going to be sticking to the Needle Cannon, which isn't bad. See, it's in this surprise tank, and we got a big life energy, which we don't really need. Got quite a bit of our weapon energy back, which is pretty good. Just keep on moving along. Before long, we'll be coming up across the mini-boss of the stage, which is a little penguin maker. Go up here. Normally, I would use Rush just to get up to the top of those pole eggs, but without Rush, just shoot out the bottom 2 poles, then jump up. Pretty easy. Use Hard Knuckle throughout this area. There we go, 3 hits from Hard Knuckle on the penguin, and you'll destroy him. It, whatever. It's a robot. But yeah, this stage, I've really liked it. I really like the music. I especially like Gemini Man and his overall design. Just the idea of a boss that can split into more than one, you know, and run around the screen and everything is just really cool to me. But the stage, never really knew quite what to think about it. It's not really a water stage, not really an ice stage. It's kind of weird, really. Another forced rush area back there. We'll use Top Spin throughout this area. You got the fish down below, which will line up with Mega Man and shoot a missile up. You got the dragons here and there if you need to kill them. Just use Top Spin if you want. Really, this little area here actually isn't too hard to dodge everything. So long as you know how to trick the dragonflies into flying above you. If you know how to do that, then all you really have to pay attention to is the missiles down below. At least in my opinion, it's really not too hard. There we go, get Hard Knuckle ready because we have a jump big up here. Well, really, you can use whatever you want because he can't get you if you just hang on the ladder and shoot through the wall. Whatever, though. We're now at Gemini Man. Like I said earlier, I really do like his design. Just a robot master that splits into two and attacks at once like that is just really cool to me. Once he gets down to half of his health, it becomes a one-on-one battle. But if you're using Search Snake, that battle will be short-lived. For defeating Gemini Man, we get the Gemini Laser weapon, which is a laser that you shoot and it bounces off the walls and ceiling and floor and everything. Which, if you've used it enough and you know where it's going to go and everything, it's really not that bad of a weapon. It's kind of powerful. I enjoy using it myself, but one flaw with it is that if you miss with it, you have to wait until it has hit something or until it goes off screen for a while before you can shoot another one. So that can be kind of annoying, but overall, I think the Gemini Laser is a pretty fun weapon to use. As a matter of fact, I think I'll use it some here. Get that guy from the ladder. But if anything, I think Gemini Laser is just a really fun weapon because of how it bounces off everything. I like being able to kill enemies by looking away from them. Just fun stuff like that. Go up this ladder over here. And hammer denied. Oh, gotcha. There we go. I always liked Spartan Man stage visually and musically. I really like the music, and overall he has a really cool looking stage in my opinion. It's not so much a hard stage, but it is a fun stage. More than anything though, I really do like his music and the way how the stage looks. Use Search Snakes a little bit here. Defeats grounded enemies pretty good. It's about as strong as the Mega Buster. As a matter of fact, I think that it is as strong as the Mega Buster on practically everything. But it's not too bad of a weapon. Like I said, you can get enemies up walls and stuff like that if you ever needed to. Just slide past all this junk. Don't let it build up so high that you can't get past it. If it does build up kind of high, you can destroy the blocks with certain weapons. And the final stretch of the stage. If you're good enough, you can just run straight through here. But I'm going to play it a little more carefully here. Just destroy the bolts as they form with the Magnum Missile. But like I said, if you're good enough, you can just run straight through this area without stopping at all. And over here we go. I always like Spark Man himself as well. He's just a really cool design and he puts up a really fun battle. He doesn't have that great of a weapon that he gives you, but he is a fun robot master to fight. He looks cool, has a really cool looking stage, and has really good music in my opinion. Just use the needle cannon on him. His actual weakness is Shadow Blade, but what the heck. Needle cannon doesn't do too bad either. 2 damage a shot. For defeating Spark Man, you get the Spark Shock, which lets you paralyze one enemy, holds the enemy in place. Or actually, you can paralyze 2 enemies, but still, the point remains it just holds the enemy in place. You can't pause the game while they're held in place. And that also obviously means that you can't switch weapons to kill the enemy that you paralyzed. So you have to find a good positioning in order to paralyze an enemy. Otherwise, you've just made yourself another stage obstacle, another enemy to jump over or something like that. I usually use it on the creatures that jump really high. I called them a jump big earlier, but that's the enemies from Mega Man 4. Big jumper enemies in Mega Man 3 are actually called Bicky or Beaky, something like that. B-I-K-K-Y. Whatever though, doesn't really matter. Shadow Man stage, I expected it to be a little more ninja-y, if that makes any sense. I don't really know. I expected some sort of hideout of some weird sort. Instead, we get I don't even know. We get lava inside of glass cases, lava waterfalls. I do like the touch of having the hologram enemies that make the areas go dark, but other than that I don't see much ninja type stuff in this level. But I guess the best ninjas hide out where you wouldn't expect them to, huh? The Search Snake is a good weapon to use throughout this area, as the holograms make the area go dark. They can show you where to jump and where to go. And with that said and done, we can now switch over to Top Spin. I'm going to use that throughout this whole next area. I always thought that Shadow Man was kind of cool. I don't know if he's my favorite in Mega Man 3, but I do think that he is cool. I think my favorite in Mega Man 3 might go to Gemini Man. but Shadow Man does fight for that #1 spot. It's just his stage. I don't think it's a bad stage. I don't hate it or anything. I do like it, but some of the stuff does confuse me. Like, why is lava or whatever that is inside of these glass cases? I guess I better not question it, because in Videoland anything can happen. And here we are at Shadow Man. For defeating Shadow Man, you get the Shadow Blade, which is pretty much Metal Blade Jr. You can shoot it in 5 directions: left, right, up, left, and straight up. It has good weapon energy, but it doesn't go all the way across the screen. Instead, it has a boomerang effect. It goes out a pretty good ways and then turns around and comes back to you. So overall, it's a pretty good weapon. Probably #1 or #2 in Mega Man 3 in my book. And well, that is it for part 1.